You are walking down a perfectly normal street when your own body decides to delete you. There is no warning, no pain, and absolutely no way to stop the clock once it starts ticking. This is the story of rabies. It is the most expensive disease in human history, costing billions in lost productivity and prevention. Yet it remains the deadliest infection we have ever documented. If you show symptoms of rabies, your survival rate is effectively zero. You will die. It is not a matter of if, but a matter of how many hours remain. To understand why this virus is the ultimate biological horror, we have to look at how it hunts. Rabies is a neurotropic virus. That means it has a singular, laser-focused objective, your brain. It does not want to destroy your lungs or your heart. It wants to hijack your nervous system. The journey starts with a bite. Most often, it comes from a dog, a bat, or a raccoon. When those teeth pierce your skin, they deposit a microscopic cargo of viral particles into your muscle tissue. This is where the virus plays a long game. It hides. It sits in your muscle fibers for weeks, sometimes months, completely undetectable by your immune system. You feel fine. You go to work, you eat dinner, you sleep. All the while, the virus is slowly creeping toward your peripheral nerves. Once it hits a nerve, it begins to move. It doesn't travel through your blood. That would be too easy for your white blood cells to catch. Instead, the virus hijacks your body's own transport system. It climbs along the axon of the nerve cell, moving at a speed of about 3 millimeters per day. It is a slow, agonizing crawl toward the central nervous system. This is the incubation period. During this time, the disease is 100% preventable. If you get the rabies vaccine before the virus reaches your brain, you survive. It is one of the greatest medical miracles of the 20th century. But if you miss that window, you are in trouble. Once the virus reaches the spinal cord and the brain, it triggers a catastrophic transformation. It begins to replicate with terrifying efficiency. It turns your brain into a factory for more viral particles. This is when the symptoms begin to show. Early signs look like the flu. You feel tired, you have a headache, but then the personality of the virus emerges. Hydrophobia is the hallmark of the disease. It is a terrifying, involuntary reaction. When a rabies patient tries to drink water, their throat muscles undergo violent, painful spasms. The very sight or sound of liquid causes a panic response that is impossible to control. Your brain is essentially losing its ability to coordinate basic life functions. The virus then forces a change in your behavior. It makes you aggressive. It makes you want to bite. This is the virus's brilliant, twisted strategy for propagation. By making the host hyper-aggressive and increasing salivation, the virus ensures its own transmission to the next victim. It is an evolutionary masterpiece designed to turn you into a weapon against your own kind. As the infection reaches its final stages, the patient experiences delirium and hallucinations. The autonomic nervous system begins to fail. Your heart rate fluctuates wildly. Your blood pressure crashes. You enter a state of total paralysis. Throughout all of this, the mortality rate holds steady at over 99.9%. In the entire history of modern medicine, fewer than 30 people have survived clinical rabies. The most famous case is Gianna Gisi. In 2004, the 15-year-old girl was bitten by a bat in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. She didn't seek treatment immediately because the scratch seemed minor. By the time symptoms appeared, doctors were faced with a medical dead end. They decided to try something experimental. They placed her in a medically induced coma and administered a cocktail of powerful antiviral drugs. They hoped to give her immune system enough time to recognize the virus and mount a defense before the brain damage became irreversible. It was a Hail Mary pass. It worked for Gianna. But when doctors tried to replicate the Milwaukee protocol on other patients, it failed again and again. It turns out Gianna's survival might have been a fluke, a combination of a specific, less virulent strain of the virus and her own uniquely robust immune response. Globally, rabies is a $1 billion problem. That figure accounts for the cost of human lives lost, the loss of livestock, and the massive expenditure on post-exposure prophylaxis. Every year, 59,000 people die from this disease. That is one person every 9 minutes. Most of these deaths occur in impoverished regions of Asia and Africa, where access to the vaccine is limited or non-existent. We live in an age of space travel, gene editing, and artificial intelligence, yet we are still being killed by a virus that has been with us since the dawn of civilization. Ancient texts from 2,000 years ago describe the exact same symptoms we see today. The Greeks called it lyssa, meaning frenzy. They understood the terror of the disease, even if they didn't understand the biology. The tragedy of rabies is that it is entirely unnecessary. We have the vaccine. We have the immunoglobulin. We know how to stop it. The only thing standing between a victim and survival is a lack of awareness and the logistical failure to deliver a needle in time. Consider the sheer scale of the virus's design. It takes a complex, sentient human being and reduces them to a vessel for its own replication. It bypasses our immune system, outsmarts our medical interventions, and exploits our most basic physiological needs. It is the ultimate predator because it lives inside the host, waiting for the perfect moment to shut the system down. We often imagine that our superior intellect and our tools make us the masters of the planet. We assume that we are at the top of the food chain, shielded from the primal dangers of the wilderness. But rabies serves as a cold reminder. We are biological organisms, susceptible to the same ancient microscopic forces that have been circulating for millions of years. There is a strange, chilling irony in the fact that we have spent billions of dollars and centuries of research trying to conquer the natural world, only to be held hostage by a tiny chain of RNA that doesn't even have a metabolism of its own. It doesn't breathe, it doesn't eat, it just exists to copy itself at our expense. When you look at the history of humanity, we like to focus on our triumphs. We celebrate the wars we won and the structures we built. But the silent history is written by the pathogens. They have dictated migration, shaped civilizations, and decided the fate of empires. Rabies is the ghost in the machine of the animal kingdom. It is the reminder that no matter how far we climb, we are never truly separate from the rest of the living world. So, the next time you see a stray animal or feel a sudden, unexplained shift in your own biology, remember that the smallest things often pack the biggest punch. Nature is not cruel, it is simply efficient, and sometimes its efficiency looks a lot like a death sentence. Are we truly in control, or are we just waiting for our turn to be the next host? The answer might be hidden in the silence of your own nerves, waiting for a signal that never sleeps.